All right.
Thumbs up.
So you probably already figured this out, given that you clicked deliberately on something that said Editor UX Matters, Gutenberg can help, but that's what we're talking about here today. And we're going to do introductions in just a moment. Oh, and we need to toggle on captioning. Thank you, Aaron, for reminding us.
Nice. That's very good.
All right.
So can you hear me?
Google, are you going to screen? No.
Hello.
Captions?
Oh, yeah. Here we are.
Is it working?
Right.
Okay, there we are. All right, so starting that again. Editor experience matters. Gutenberg can help. And we're going to introduce ourselves in a second here, but we'd like to hear from each of you. So if you would all just take a moment and just go to the polls tab and tell us about your experience with Gutenberg to date. We have actually a lot of material that we are sharing today, and it helps us adjust to the right levels based on what people's interests are. So if everyone just take a moment, click over to the polls tab and answer this. That would help us as we do things. While you're doing that, I'll just say my name is Drew Gorton. I am the Director of Developer Relations at Pantheon, and I am really excited to be presenting today with Tor Andre, who I first met at Drupal Europe. Shout out to anyone else who was at Drupal Europe or helped organize it. Thank you so much. It was a great event. Tor Andre at the time talked about Gutenberg, and I went up after the session and just peppered him with questions. Can it be fieldable? What's the roadmap? Where's the support? How are you training, et cetera? And we've been talking ever since. And I'm really excited today to be talking about here now, years later, and how much it's progressed, and it's great. One other thing I learned about Tor Andre, a long time after I started talking with him, that he does not pronounce his name Thor, which, as any studious American being taught Norwegian pronunciation by Marvel, I called him Thor for a long time. But he says his name somewhat differently. Go for it.
Yeah. So my name is Tor André Gretland. And just to say, I usually say Thor when I talk to English-speaking people anyway, but no, that's me. So I work in FrontCom. Very short. We're a digital open source focused agency spread across Europe. Our head office is in Fredrikstad, Norway, where I'm currently located. So it's afternoon here. FrontCom, we're about 70 people working on digital projects from strategy, design to implementation and maintenance. Yeah, so let's just get started. I'm going to start with a short story. A couple of years back, we got a client that were already on Drupal. They had done a large Drupal project with an established Drupal company in Europe. And we don't know the exact numbers, but the cost of that project was somewhere between $200,000 and $1 million. And when we looked at it, we saw a proper Drupal setup with lots of complexity, logic, and flexibility, but only one problem. The client just couldn't use it. It was built on paragraphs, the site was very complex, and the amount of nested field sets just became very difficult to navigate. So you can just scroll through that here. Yeah, and the GIF there is quite long, so look for that blue button in the end. So their head of marketing said, I have years of CMS experience, and I've been working here for 6 months now. My boss tells me to create content, but I'm just not able to do it. So they had about 100 editors worldwide, and none of them were able to do what they wanted to do on the website. So we talked to the client, we sat down and said that, the content creation here needs to drastically improve. And they said, yeah, we agree, but we're just not sure if, is it Drupal? Is Drupal the right thing for us? Did we do the right choice? And then we gave them a demo of Drupal Gutenberg, where we could show their content in the right visual context. And we got wow responses. If this is Drupal, then I can like Drupal. Those kind of things. So, Gutenberg. Oh, you're muted.
Classic remote presentation. So Gutenberg, right? Gutenberg is the old name, actually, at this point in time, for the WordPress core editor that was introduced with WordPress 5.0. And it is being used by a lot of people. It's actually quite successful. The fine print there is actually a little hard to read. It's a bit of an eye chart, but it basically says these numbers are underreported because they only come from a limited set of data. WordPress at this point in time is powering something like 40% of websites. That's a staggering amount. And a lot of those websites are using the Gutenberg editor experience. So this is not something that's, like, this is pretty trustworthy software, and it's open source, right? It's open source software that has been ported over to Drupal. And there's, at this point, a lot of user testing, a lot of development happening, and it is a powerful editor available to any open source project, including Drupal. Let's take a look at that, though. Like, what is it? So, okay, so now we had some stats. Let's see it in action.
Yeah, let's do it. So, as Drew was saying, it's just an editor, but it's just, again, so much more. So let's dig into it. Gutenberg is, first of all, when you start using it, very minimalistic and simple. But let's go to a demo to show how we would typically start. So I start by creating a page. In the top there, I want to add a heading. I start to type some text here. Dig into Gutenberg. And I want to set that as an H1. I can just hit enter, and then I'll paste some text. Want that to be bold. And then I could change the font size for that. Hitting enter again. Here I will paste some more text. And then up here between these two paragraphs, I want to have a photo. So I'll just drag and drop that in. For example, this one. Yeah. And you can see it's gray until it's loading. Here we go. And then I can choose alignments for that photo. I want it on the right-hand side. So I select that. And here you can see this nice blue small handlers. So I can just grab the photo and make it smaller. Kind of nice. Yeah, just about that size. And then below that, I have a field for caption. And yeah, some nature for all of you. Yeah. And so below here, I'll just start with a forward-leading slash, which starts a live search. And I start typing gallery and can just hit enter to get that. Now I can go to my Drupal media library and select the photos that I want to use in that gallery. These four, then I click select. Here we go. You can see that it gets like kind of nice styling on the way. And I can move them back and forth, these photos. And I can even change the columns, number of columns here. So here I have 4. I could go down to 3 or even 2. Yeah, even 1, actually. It's going to look a bit, take a lot of space. So I'll just go back to 4 for this one here. Okay. And then I'm just going to try to type some text, working on a regular text paragraph here. And a nice thing here, detail, is that after I've written it, I can actually go in here and convert that to, for example, a quote, if it's an actual quote. Clicking that, and then I get a new field where I can just type my name here. This is something I like. Can't even spell it. Okay, there you go. Okay, and then I'm able to drag and drop that to the place I would like on the page. But see also the arrows there. I actually like to use them because it keeps the focus when I move it up and down. It's very nice experience working with it. Yeah, and that's about it for the first. I'm going to go slightly deeper in the next demo here. I'll continue to work on that same article or page if you want. Let's add some more complexity to it. So I start with my forward-leading slash, and I'm adding some columns. So I can choose some different layouts. I'm going to go for the 2/3, 1/3. And then here in my first, I'm just going to copy some text from up here. and then just paste it down there in the first column. In here, paste. And on the right-hand side here, I will add another quote. Just clicking the plus button there, selecting the quote, and then start typing right into the quote field. Nice column, don't you think? I will use it. And who's saying that? Marco, are you saying that? Marco, lead developer, please confirm. Yeah, I'm sure he's saying that. So let's add a photo of Marco, which is not really Marco. This is just a random photo. But anyway, yeah, thank you, Marco. Just confirm that in chat. And yeah, below there, we could add some contact information. Let's start by adding a telephone number. Yeah, you can't really reach Marco on that actual number, but and not even on that email address, but let's add it anyway for a test. And here I can choose some color settings for this text paragraph. Setting a blue background, notice also how the text color changes to white to assure that we get that right contrast. And I can override that if I want to by going now to the text color field there, set it to be black. But let's go back to white, looking better. Okay, so our left column here seems a bit unbalanced now, so I'm just going to copy some more text. Yeah, Michael agrees. And you can see that I can drag and drop the columns. And actually, consistent layout. Yeah, that's a great point. We actually have quite a lot of flexibility of restricting access also for the different blocks we have. But yeah, now you can see I get our rather nice long read article or a landing page out of the box just using Gutenberg Core.
And I love it. We're really starting to get a bunch of questions. So we're going to talk just a little bit more. Yeah. And then we have a kind of choose your own adventure part of this. And then again, because there are a number of questions, I know that like if you're willing to come back, we're going to take over the Pantheon booth afterwards and really get into some of these things. And I've also noticed there's a lot of, I think Kevin Rainin mentioned, a lot of higher ed folks in here, a lot of people trying to help their editors. But I think if you just saw that, I'm curious actually if people want to share in chat. Like I've seen a couple of reactions, but like that experience, that's a compelling experience, right? Yeah. That is, if we could provide that to our content authors, they're going to have way more ability to create compelling, attractive layouts with so much. I mean, like, can you imagine trying to do that in paragraphs, frankly? Like, you know, click, you know, change a button, change a number, scroll through all the fields, click save, hope, change it, you know, try again, hope, try again, hope. It's a very different experience, and I think it's pretty compelling.
Yeah, just want to say to those higher ed people here, we have implemented the Gutenberg editors for 3 universities already. So, and they like it. Yeah. Yeah, detail.
So it seems, based on the conversation, actually, also the polls. Also, I love the results we've got. You know, a lot of people who are heard of it, a number who are Guten curious. Some have used it. A few have used it. Very skeptical as well. I think that's also fair. And again, like hopefully by the end of this, you'll have a little bit more sense for how to get started or what what next steps might be for you. Okay, so one of the reasons I am here presenting about this is because websites have a job to do. And this is my opinion, this is Pantheon's opinion as well. And by job, what I mean is something like this, like, they're either, providing ad revenue or e-commerce revenue or lead generation or reaching a unique number of users because they're building movement, for example, or maybe they're, daily active users because it's a product or a platform. This is the kind of thing that I mean by websites have a job to do. And many websites maybe have a few variations of these things, or maybe you're doing multiple of them. But at the end of the day, those jobs are not things that you do as one discipline. It's not just developers alone. Web ops is a team sport, right? So you need developers, you need designers, you need your strategists, you need your content editors, you need business stakeholders. All of these people need to be working together, aligned on that goal to get the best results. And I think a lot of times in Drupal, we do an amazing job connecting Drupal to a whole bunch of different systems. We may do some good user testing up front on like, can people understand this navigation? There's a lot of best practices we have, but I think this is a place where Drupal is historically and frequently weak, and it doesn't need to be that way, right? If we can help our content authors, our content editors have a better experience, they're going to be happier, they're going to be more effective, and the website's going to be more effective. That's good for everyone. One of the nice things we'll be talking about is you don't have, it also doesn't have to be all or nothing, right? You can enable it for a site, a content type, right? And try it out. I bet all of us here have at least one client or use case or department or some organization that would be happy for this and would be well suited. There was some conversation in the chat about, can you lock it down? This looks like there's some danger here. Yes, you can. You can do all of those things. But again, it's a compelling experience. So Andre.
Yeah. So if you want people to perform great, you basically don't give them old and outdated tools, right? So, and that's what this is about, basically. If you want people to really perform, you can't really force them to do an excellent job. They just gotta love it, and we typically provide nice work areas, a culture, colleagues, and tools, and that total ambience is an excellent place to grow and focus. So let's, for example, look at this job ad. It's for a journalist. We're looking for a senior journalist delivering world-class content, send application if you're creative, you have excellent word skills, you're mastering content for digital platforms, and you're mastering content production and nurturing in Drupal. What's wrong with this? In Drupal. I mean, that's not the part of your job. Well, it is, of course, but it's not the part of the skill set that you should need. If you know how to master content for digital platforms, you know what SEO is about, you can tell stories, you know everything about it, then Drupal shouldn't really be that blocker for you getting that job. So when we started working with this a few years back and starting to implementing this Drupal and actually we evaluated lots of like site builders, landing page builders, and lots of them from the WordPress communities because there are hundreds there. And we saw that well, Gutenberg, it really ticked off all the boxes. It had some great potential. And the general focus that we have looking at other initiatives also is, okay, so what are we trying to do here? What's our vision? Well, Drupal should be the most user-friendly enterprise CMS. Drupal should be easy to use for newcomers. And when we take this to clients, as we mentioned earlier, what kind of responses do we get? How does this work on an everyday life for us? Well, people are really, really excited about it. So this is these are actual quotes from meetings we've had with the clients presenting this. So there is definitely a potential here, and people that like what they see. So now, Drew, let's try to get people involved.
Yeah, and we've got a ton of questions over in the QA. I've been trying to answer them, a few of them. We've prepared 4 different choose your own adventure next steps. I will just say one of the things that I have seen, and the top voted question, I'm sorting by top voted. So if you have a question, please vote it to the highest, to the popular, and we'll prioritize those. We also anticipated that there would be an actual poll. So if you click to the polls tab again, there is a, what would we like to learn more about next? I'll talk about each of these 4 options in a moment, but the question that is the top voted at the moment is, how does data get stored in the database? And this was actually the first thing I asked Tor Andre as well after his presentation, because we like our structured data. It's one of Drupal's strengths. And the amazing thing is that each of these Gutenberg blocks can in fact be stored as a field. And you can lock things down in the template level too, so that it's not all drag and drop. You can have a very specified order. And so I really think there's a potential for the best of both worlds here. Torandre, anything to add to that?
No, I mean, you're totally right. I mean, if you start using playing around with Gutenberg just out of the box, the first thing you'll do then is just use Gutenberg to handle a body field. You know, you'll store your data there. But then it's quite easy to extend that and set up field mapping so that things you put into that can automatically populate fields in other places, and you can lock that down as you'd like. So it's rather flexible that way. Yep. And actually, though, in the typical way of thinking, is it structured or not? Yeah, it's stored in one field, but the data is still structured, right? So if you, for example, want to add a view to a page using Gutenberg with the recent articles, for example, yeah, that reference is stored in the body field, you know, but the actual view is somewhere else. And yeah.
One of the really cool things about the Gutenberg markup, we're definitely off script here a little bit, but one of the cool things about the Gutenberg markup is that it's effectively, it is structured itself natively, right? So there's basically HTML comments. It's like start, quote, end, quote, start, gallery, end, gallery. And for those of us who feel like, oh, that's a little bit ugly, well, if you use JSON, for example, it's kind of the same way that works. So anyways, we have 4 different ways. I do want to make sure that, again, like, let's use the poll that we have. We can talk more about some of these now, and then we can, again, take this conversation. We won't get, you know, once we get kicked out of here, we can go and keep talking over at the Pantheon booth. But the 4 directions that we have prepared right now that dig in further is 1, layout templates with field mapping. So that's exactly what we've just been talking about. If you want to know about how to make it so that the teaser fills the teaser, we can actually go through that. The next thing that we can go through is how to get started developing custom blocks. There are different use cases. For example, different organizations have, you know, highly structured, very particular kinds of information. You want it to be templated right. You want to have the fields right. So when people are adding their, I don't know, event or something like that, it, you know, pre-populates or it gives you the right fields for that specific thing. Another thing that we could talk about is how to drop views into the page. Another thing we love in Drupal, it's a really powerful tool. Can you use Gutenberg and views? Yeah, it turns out pretty easy, and works nicely and dynamically updates like for the editor too. And the 4th one is just like how to get started. Like, okay, I'm interested, I want to try it. Also super easy, but sometimes just seeing that happen. So if you could all take a moment in the poll tab, and we will do the thing that gets the most votes, and we'll do that now. And then from here, again, like, we can cover the rest of it and anything else that people have back at the Pantheon booth afterwards.
It seems like we are getting a lot of votes for how to get started, and so I'm just preparing that, and we can just so yeah.
Yeah, it looks like how to get started is taking the lead, followed up by layout templates with field mapping. And so we will absolutely, again, we'll do that part back at the Pantheon booth after this presentation. But yeah.
Yes.
So Andre,
let's do it.
Run through.
Okay.
Let's see this.
Yeah. So Drew here just helped me set up a blank site here at Pantheon. And I have Gutenberg installed here. I've just created a couple of test articles. So you install Gutenberg like any other module. I'm just going to go in here and install it. And after that is done, not much happens. You have to activate it on the content type edit page. So I'm going straight to structure and my content type. Let's activate Gutenberg for the article content type. So I'll go over here, click edit. And on this edit page, since Gutenberg is activated, I have this Gutenberg experience tab over here. Enable. And then, as mentioned earlier, setting up layouts and field mapping happens here in the template field. Skipping that for now. Down here, I'll see, I can just check my allowed Gutenberg blocks. You can see all of the ones that are ticked are like the default ones. I'm just going to keep that as is. And below here, allowed Drupal blocks. Here I can actually also activate regular Drupal blocks to be used within Gutenberg. So I'm just going to add recent content just for show off. I don't know. Yeah, and then I'll just save this article content type. And now once this is done, I can go to content, add content, choose article, and I see that Gutenberg is loading. And we should get it here. Here you can see it. As mentioned earlier in that demo, it's very like blank piece of paper. Start typing here, start typing title. And then, I could do that, convert that to a heading. I can add the title over here, and you see that it's a separate field. But if I set up like a layout for this, I could automatically populate that. And there is actually also a module called auto title, which we created just a bit inspired by how you work with a Google document. You start just typing some text, and when you do that, and then if you click the edit title, it automatically shows you that first piece of line. And that's what auto title also does, basically. So you don't get this mandatory title field. You just, write a heading, and when you save, your first H, basically, will be stored as a title. So test. And yeah, we could actually let's try to use that cover block. Just going to use that forward leaning slash now. Cover. That's kind of nice. Let's see what we have here in the media library. Did we upload something? Yeah, we could use Lego there. So this is the cover block. And we could actually move that heading down a bit then, so we get the image on the top. And the cover block is kind of nice. It has some nice, let's see now if we can get to block here. I could set my focal point for that. I could even set fixed background, so it, get that parallax effect. And I could also choose like a gradient overlay. Let's look at this, for example. Setting that. You can see how everything updates on the fly. So this is it. And I also activated that recent articles, didn't I? So now when so now I'm getting so used to, using that forward leading slash. I just like it. It's so fast and effective. But I could of course go here, hit that plus, and find the recent content list here. I could even search for Drupal because I know it's on the Drupal box. Or I could search for view, since you see that views here is a part of the naming. So adding that, you can see that it actually loads the two other test articles I had there. So some text here also, and I'm gonna hit save. So, and here we go. Yeah, obviously need some styling this one, but you see that it looks kind of nice out of the box, and you see that the view that I added ends up here. So I think that's
yeah, awesome. So
that's a starting point.
Thank you, Torandre. So that's pretty. I mean, like obviously Torandre's done this a few times. This is a vanilla Drupal site. We all probably recognized it. That was one non-core module enabled. All of 30 seconds of configuration. I'm looking back over to the questions tab, and again, I think Aaron, session moderator Aaron, can you confirm how long we have for time? I want to be respectful of everyone's time.
I think our time's just up.
Yeah, Chris, Eclipse GC, excellent question. Gutenberg and accessibility, you can do almost all of this in LD. What's LD? I'm sorry. Oh, layout builder. right?
Yeah, I assume so. Kevin just gave me a challenge, though. I would love to see how bad he can make a page. Yeah.
Yes.
Well, I could show you that.
Oh, wow, good. I just have so many questions about accessibility, teaser fields and blocks and view, migration diagrams. Yeah, so many questions. Okay, so there's a lot of questions. We're starting to overwhelm. And then Aaron, time is technically up. Ooh, we can stay for 10 minutes. So, I don't want to make people stay too long, but as long as they're interest, I think. Why don't we try to address at least a few of these questions here and say, like, limit ourselves to 5 more minutes, 10 after the hour, and then we can go back and again continue a conversation and really dig in and have those conversations. And actually, at the Pantheon booth, we can all actually talk, right? It's not just Tor Andre and I like trying to read chat and questions. Share our voices. Okay, so accessibility, yeah, that's a good. So, well, I don't know. I've got thoughts on a few of these things, but so Andre, do you have, again, like the top voted question? Like is a 2 questions, cheating, but the second voted question is layout builder. So maybe let's just address layout builder and Gutenberg. I'm not actually sure of the answer.
Yeah. Let me just find the actual questions here. Do we need to pick one?
So let's talk about Gutenberg and layout builder, and then I think after that Gutenberg and accessibility.
Yeah. Well, layout builder initiative is great, and there are so many strengths to how to work with that. Where I see that Gutenberg basically does a better job is typically when you work with long read articles. Typically, those articles where you want to be very close to the end result. And it also handles things like, I could show you here, but I mean, if you, in other landing page builders, if you try to sort of select half your page in Gutenberg, you could actually do that and copy that part, even though it's several blocks, and just paste it on whatever other page. You could try to, that could be a fun test actually here now, to just go find some random article online and just paste it in Gutenberg and just see how well it handles formatting, understanding what's a title, what's a photo, and these kind of things, those little details. Yeah, we tend to go for the Gutenberg approach, but we've also set up layout builders for several occasions. Yeah.
I think also, again, like from the perspective of getting, I think this tool may be more tuned to the mental models and patterns of editors. And I think layout builder may be more tuned to Drupal site builders. I think it's a different kind of level of familiarity with Drupal.
True. Yeah.
And there's, again, like, it's possible to use Gutenberg on a content type, for example, and not another one, right? And so you may have things that are, for example, that long format article that you really want to have, like unlock the creativity of those editors and have them using that experience. You may have different things that are better for layout builder because the site builder is way more active in that, for example. Wait, I think I blew past the time that I said we would stop at.
Yeah, I'm not really sure.
But
the
next, I would say the next highest question is accessibility. I wonder if we can save these questions. Aaron, session monitor, can we export these questions in a way, or can someone screenshot them? Or, I mean, I guess we could just go big copy paste.
And actually, I think we just answered Bill's question. What is the experience when someone pastes content from something like Word? Try it out. I mean, it's a good experience, I would say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, coming from Google Docs in particular, actually, I've had very good results myself. Just boop, and it works. It's really, it's quite compelling for those of us who maybe, for example, write blog posts in Google Docs and then paste them into standard Drupal or customized Drupal sites. It's a very different and surprisingly happy result. Let's go ahead and put up the next slide, I think, where we're encouraged, like, let's continue the conversation. For those of you who are interested in talking more, and we'll also have the lead, and I think we should talk about accessibility as the next thing. And so if we advance the slide 1, I think, if we head over to the Pantheon booth after this, I think, so slide 43 actually is where we want to go to. But if we could all just click the Expo button, go to Pantheon, we'll continue talking there. And again, on a little more equal footing, you'll be able to talk with us as well and not have to rely on translating between type and audio and video.
That'd be great.
I want to thank, so Andre, I want to thank you. I want to thank everyone for the questions and great feedback.
Thank you too.
And look forward to continuing the conversation. Again, this may not be the thing that solves every single problem ever, but it might be something that your clients or your departments or somewhere in your organization, there's a content type, a site that you could try this on and experiment with. And my hunch is that probably everyone here has at least one situation where this might be a nice tool to help make your content editors more effective.
Yep.
All right, we'll see you over at the Pantheon booth.
Okay, so will you go in there, Drew? Now stick around for a couple more minutes, and then so we have a slight overlap.
That's a good idea. All right.
Okay, see you there.